Hey everybody, so we decided to do a project on integrating technology for meaningful learning. And to define educational technology, it is the process of integrating technology into education in a positive manner that promotes a more diverse learning environment and a way for students to learn how to use technology as well as their common assignments. Well, the importance of integrating this into our classroom has five major components. It has the design, develop, utilize, management, and evaluation. First and foremost, bringing technology into the classroom has to be well thought out, and teachers have to know the technology that they're bringing in. Students are very knowledgeable in this topic, and that is why I think it is so vital that we do bring it into the classroom. Students nowadays have essentially grown up with technology ever since they were a little kid, possibly even being when they were a child, when they were a baby. Uh, Too many times have I seen young kids have cell phones and be able to work technology with absolutely no problem. So these kids, when you bring it into the classroom, they get very excited and they are definitely they welcome the opportunity to have a different learning experience. Now, as I mentioned before, designing and developing your lesson is probably most important because it gives a teacher the idea a chance to express new ideas that they maybe weren't able to get across with just a pen and paper and a chalk on board. And it really allows us to accommodate different learning styles for students. Now, it can also get the teacher away from just lecturing, and instead the technology can step in and really just take over and change the classroom learning environment. And basically, how can we incorporate the technology? Well, there's many different ways, but some of the most important ways to do so is to try to relate it to real life. When I'm in the classroom, I try early in the year to figure out a lot of my students' interests and their needs. And that's an awesome way to try and incorporate their interests and needs into the presentation. So if you know one student is interested in, say, sports, for example, maybe in some type of example with technology, you can bring in an example of sports where you can hook their attention. That same concept goes for absolutely any subject, and I think it's a great way to really engage the students in the lesson. Now, using technology in the classroom, it also allows for student accountability. They tend to be more focused and they tend to sometimes just care a little more about the lesson if technology is brought in. It's the same material we may be learning normally, but the technology just offers a different aspect that the normal classroom, which is pen and paper, cannot offer. And basically, when we are successfully incorporating this technology, as I mentioned before, it really creates positive student engagement in the classroom, and it allows also for individualized instruction. This is one of my favorite aspects of it because certain technology that we are capable of using uh, could be very individualized per student. Now, there's certain technology where, and we're going to mention them later, where there's apps where teachers are just giving out generic questions that the whole class will answer. But there are other apps available to us that are able to focus on their individualized skills, and we could assess them based on what level they are currently at. And a few tips just to have successful experiences in the classroom. Uh, First and foremost, utilizing user-friendly softwares. Students are very knowledgeable with technology. We also don't want to include any type of technology that's going to confuse them or that's going to cut into teaching time where you have to explain what or how to use the technology. Uh, Another great strategy is to collaborate with your coworkers and your colleagues to really figure out what technologies may have worked for them and what may have not worked in the past. Uh, but while using all these technologies, there are plenty of professional development training that you are able to uh, utilize so that you do become proficient in the actual technology. And a few examples, as I've been hinting to the whole time, are on the screen. We have Seesaw, Google Classroom, RazKids, Splash Math, Newsela, Delta Math, Plickers. All these types of examples, they are perfect for instant assessment for your students. They keep your students engaged. And a few just to highlight on a few of the examples. We have Splash Math. That's an interactive online app that students practice their math skills linked to the standards of the state. You also have RazKids, where, excuse me, they are able to use certain, they have their own reading level and books that are on their current level that they could work with and they can read, and it basically will assess them as we go. So students, if one student's a little further along than another, he'll be challenged a little more. But if one student needs a little more help, the content will reflect that while still educating the student. One thing that I particularly love to use in my classroom is Plickers. So Plickers are basically have QR codes that each student is assigned to their name. And depending on how they hold the card is basically going to tell you or tell the teacher what answer they believe is correct. So the teacher is able to pose a question, and the students will hold up their QR code with that's given to them, and the teacher will take their phone and scan the room, and the phone will pick up all the QR codes. And right then and there, the teacher has instant assessment of what student may need more help, what student may have understood the lesson, and that I think is just invaluable when it comes to teaching. And finally, if you would like to do any more type of research, or you want to learn a little more about the integrating technology into the classroom, we provided a few different links that you can click on, and they really are some awesome information and just awesome tips that we could use. One in particular is the last link, the Integrating Technology for Meaningful Learning by Mark Grabe. This is a book that I believe is a little under $5, and it has awesome hand-on activities. It has tips to bring technology into the classroom, and it's a really just very resourceful piece of information that we can use if you were looking to bring this into the classroom. So hope you guys liked our presentation. Any questions, please feel free to reach out to us, and have a great day.